Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. This is the last couple days of April. It is getting time for that spring weather. I hope you're all really enjoying it thus far. So, in 2 days from now, Wednesday, May 1st, marks the 6-year anniversary or birthday of our logo and our business. CarBiz Done Better turned 6 on Wednesday, May 1st. And really, guys, today I want to talk to you about being in business for yourself. Most of you know how my story started, but just in case you didn't know, quick overview of that. We were approached, this has been about 6.5 years ago, by a dealership group here in Wisconsin to help them understand all of their vendors, all of their processes and everything. And out of that, the idea came up to start CarBiz Done Better. So I parted ways with my then corporate job and began to start this business. Unfortunately, it was met with a little bit of issue. First, what we were doing was going to look a lot like what everyone else was doing. We were going to be the next trainer to the stars. We were going to have all of the answers, and I was going to be in all these dealerships and create all these, great processes and follow up and travel the globe and all these other things. Quickly, we realized that was a losing proposition for us and who we were and what we could actually bring as value. So what we did was we pivoted and we said, look, we're going to become the first ever vendor management company. We're going to help dealers understand all of these vendors. No one had ever done this before. Sure, there were some tools laying around that were going to automate it. They weren't real. They weren't about human beings. So we slowly started to carve out our niche in a gigantic industry such as the car business. And one of the bigger hurdles we had was a non-compete that I had to deal with from my previous employer, which I've done episodes like this before. You'll see an interview coming up in future episodes of this show with Sean Rains, where he talks about his, I talk about mine, and get very passionate. What I'll tell you is take him seriously if you've signed him. I didn't, and it's something that, while it cost me not as much as it could have, it was still something that I was more cavalier about than I should have been. And so if you run up against it, make sure that you understand what you've got yourself into. So let's push past that. Once we actually did push past that, CarBiz really, it took about 18 months to develop what we were doing and who we were going to be. Luckily, we did have our large client out in Madison to help us kind of get our footing, but it was light, man. I'm someone who's been making six figures for a long time. And in the first couple years of this company, I was making money I made in high school. And it was difficult for me to, in the beginning, see why all the time, effort, and energy was worth 35, 40 grand. And because I have a great support system and my wife is number one on that list, she was someone who would consistently say, look, you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. We must be doing something cool because large corporations want to sue us for what we're trying to do. Right? So she took the lemon we were given in the non-compete clause. She made her some lemonade by saying this is actually a good sign. And it started to shift my mind because I was like, all right, maybe this is a good sign. But when we started out, I read a lot of Inc. magazine, a lot of entrepreneurial magazines. Not a book reader and individual person reader, but I was reading a lot of magazines and I kept thinking my company had to be Inc. It had to grow, it had to be this, had to be that, and had to be tech and employee, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't for me. Right? I wasn't creating a piece of tech. I was creating a human-run business. Another future podcast will come out, something called Human Doers, not human beings. This idea my therapist Jessica gave me, and I really loved the idea, but that's where it started for me was I need to be a doer, right? I need to work really hard at trying to create a culture here at CarBiz that we were going to be someone different. I fought the word consultant. I fought all these words to try to make people know this was something different. Hell, I did a bunch of videos that have since been deleted from our archives, probably for good reason, although I do joke with the operation director of my company quite frequently that, hey man, why don't we re-release some of those crazy ass old videos that I remember just being stressed out about, man. Just freaking out. I hated it because I wanted everything to be so perfect. And guess what? That's why you guys see this show the way it is. It's one take. I don't stress myself out anymore. I don't worry about it. Sure, I got a couple of notes. That's only because I want to be reasonable and get to the point. But this is not about stressing myself out, have the perfect this, have the perfect that. It's about conveying a message. That's what CarBiz was all about, is conveying a message. That's what we're all about today. And my ultimate goal, people always ask me, Sean, what's your mission statement? What's your company about? Our company is about making the car business a great place to work and leaving it better than we found it. That's our goal. I know it sounds big and overarching, but it's our goal. And it's what we will accomplish. Trust me. Recently, I can tell you that my company is in the right direction because I had a customer who fired me over a year ago come back to my doorstep. I had a client who just recently came to us who I've known for 15 years. And it was one of the first people that I approached 6 years ago when I had my non-compete because it had to do with a certain state radius. So I went out of the state radius to his state where I was working for him and said, dude, here's what I got. Here's what I'm working on. And he slapped me in the face and he told me no. Guess what? 6 years later, he's now part of the CarBiz family with one of his stores getting ready to bring me the rest of his stores. So it's about perseverance, about keeping your head down and doing the work. I learned how to let go. And that's how I was able to make a relationship with the customer over 6 years who didn't sign up, but I kept him close enough when he was ready, he signed up. I recently had a vendor that worked for another company that I couldn't stand. Couldn't stand him. Well, somehow we got on a one-off here recently at one of the events. And I started talking to him and he sounded different, he looked different. I realized now that he started his own company, maybe he too had changed and was no longer like the scumbag employee he had worked for. So I opened up my CarBiz heart to him and I said, look, I didn't care much for you previously, but I think it was who you worked for. So let's sit down and see if you can bring value to today's stores. And he did it. Now, I don't know if we get picked up by that client, but he did it. So my point, guys, is even though you're in business for yourself, just be open to other ideas. Make sure that you're nimble. Don't get stuck in just saying it has to be this way, it has to be this way. And the last thought that I could leave you all with, because we created a niche in this industry that now there are plenty of copycats to follow, which is fun. I like that. And I said this earlier, you're welcome for that. You're welcome for the opportunity to copycat us, okay? But here's what I want to say. Have a core offer, one offer. Be great at it. Great at it. And then in time, if certain things come up, add to your services, but only when people want them, not because you want to, not because you need to make more revenue streams. Stop hiring people, getting fancy buildings. That's why you all need more revenue streams. That's your problem. Focus on your core competency. Be great at it. Guys, thank you so much. As always, 262-278-0157 is the line to get a hold of us at. You can text me and call me on that line. You'll find me all over LinkedIn, Sean Welsh, under the logo as always. Don't forget, happy birthday, CarBiz Done Better. We love you. We love all of you for listening. And most of all, thank you for supporting us in the brand over these 6 years. We look forward to at least 6 more. Have a great day.